Jay Clark, the coach of Washington, has been raised in the tutelage of Bobby. And then coached his son, Jamie, at Stanford prior to getting to Notre Dame. And now we are joined by the aforementioned Jamie Clark. Jamie, thank you so much for your time. 0-0 here at the break. We saw you talking with your assistants for quite a few minutes before you went in to talk to the boys at halftime. What was the message in that discussion with your assistants, and what did you relay to your players?
Yeah, I think we just had to move the game up the field a little bit, and that's both with the ball and our pressure. You know, it was a little too comfortable for them at times. I don't think there was a lot of chances in the game, but, you know, when we're playing well, we're usually getting pressure and we're going, you know, at a little bit better tempo than that. And the game was a little bit too settled for our liking.
Coach, defensively, you guys were magnificent, tracked all their movements. I mean, you understood exactly where the game plan was going to be, but within that, respectfully, probably lacked a little bit of movement and presence up top. How do you now find that but still maintain the balance defensively?
No, certainly we were pretty static up there. We got Dylan the ball a few times. I think there's just room to run with the ball. You got to get it wide. You got to run with the ball for a little bit, and there's spaces to do that. And when we had those moments, we didn't really, you know, we didn't accomplish what we wanted to do. So I think this second half is going to be fun. I think we're going to change the tempo a little bit, and if we do that, we got a good chance.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck. Let's see if they can switch that tempo, and I think, interestingly, like it's a chess match. Brian Weiss wants to play a better tempo, but control the tempo, not get into a track meet with this great team in transition. So these, you know, styles make fights. Let's see what we have in the second 45. We're underway. Matt Thompson is our center official. Second half here of the second semifinal of the College Cup, 0-0. Will the deadlock be broken between these two teams that meant back in the 2019 quarterfinals? A lot of these players, 13, actually played in that game total. 7 for the Huskies, 6 for the Hoyas. Maybe a chance here for Lucas Meek, who's one of the starters in that game back in 19 when Washington fell to Georgetown on their field in Washington, D.C. 1-0. Georgetown was down. They ended up winning that game 2-1. Second quarter of the match for Washington. 18 set-piece goals for Washington in the last 18 games. They can be deadly. Watch Ryan Saylor, number 4, the big center back. This one ball. Out of contact. Kendall Burns went down. Matt Thompson says no penalty. Aaron Sargent spins out of some trouble. Turnover early, looking for Meek. Nicolaitis comes off in flames. Chris Haggard back in the match. You're new to college soccer. Can sub out in the second half and make a return appearance. So when you see young men file off, their day is not done. John Zawatsky, defensive player of the year in the Big East, skips around the challenge. He's got options. Riviere head out to Will Sands. Haggard in space behind him. Sands back to Haggard, flips it in off ahead. They've been one of the times the Hoyas looked more dangerous in this game going forward right there.
One of the brightest lights that we saw in the first half for Georgetown was Zach Riviere on the right-hand flank, and they weren't exactly overly happy with the two outside midfielders and just their ability to really challenge the shape of Washington. They did leave Riviere in, though. They just brought him on the left. I expect him to come in a lot more than we saw out of Duluth. Defensively, it does open you up in certain areas, but to Jamie Clark's point about his team, same rings true for the Georgetown Hoyas. At some point in time, and I said this at halftime, you got to take a chance. You want to go win a game, you want to get an opportunity to be the best in college soccer. You got to showcase yourself to the next level, and that means you got to roll the dice here and there.
And Brian Reese hoisted that 2019 championship. Only the third team title in Georgetown history, which I find rather shocking. National title. The ball steps up on it. Collide with his teammate. Back out to Zawadzki. Alanaris. Skip down the defender, try to put a low ball in. Nielsen, third team All Big East. Kieran Sargent, the freshman in the game for Daniel Wu. Wu, a local center back product from Cary, North Carolina, out injured in the semifinal of the Big East tournament. Sargent is deputized well at that center back spot. Wu, a veteran that played in that 2019 team, scored a goal in the final as well against UVA. Now, Devin, I know you called that final. 3-3 game, UVA 7-6 on penalties. One of the wildest College Cup games ever.
Still get my voice back. two years later, I mean, you know, a lot of these games that you can come out of and go, that team was much better, that team was much better. And this was kind of one. There was nothing in that game that I could look back on and go, that wasn't good. Yeah. High level throughout the entirety of the match. And guys like Daryl DK, United States men's national team, Joe Bell goes and plays overseas. And at one point in time,
Henry Kessler,
center back, New England Revolution. Geldenbach said to me, like at one point in time, there were 6 or 7 Generation Adidas players on that field.
Wow. It was a great, in Georgetown obviously had, mentioned Montez earlier, Derek Dodson, Rio Hogun. There was just so many good players on both those teams. And we'll see if we'll have a final like that. Clemson against the winner of this game on Sunday, but right now, these two teams got to break the deadlock first. First game did go to penalties. Good challenge by Riviere. He's been a bright spot, looking for Stoyanovich, who lost his footing. Rocha over to Haggart.
This is the area that Brian Reese was talking about in the first half. He's got to speed up the rapidity of play. And the angles are there. Just up the tempo a little bit more. Space at the top of the 18. No one steps into it. They don't click coming back across. It's the bread and butter for Hoyas all season long. And a bit off their game here tonight.
Nice use of rapidity, though. Well done.
You can't add. Spell good.
SAT words.
Yeah.
Verisimilitude.
Mom would be so proud 20 years later.
Take a look at the championship history here. Washington, first time they've ever got to this point. First College Cup appearance. Hoya's second time in the last 3 years. Like you mentioned, 2019, they lost in the quarterfinals last year to Marshall, the eventual champions. They won the cup here. And Clemson looking for their third national title, first since 1987. However, they did get to the 15 final under the same coach they have now, Mike Noonan. But they fell 4-0 to a Stanford team with Jordan Morris and a bunch of other studs. But now a chance to climb the top of the mountain. Lucas Meek brings it down. Gio Miglietti. Soto. Dylan Tevez. Soto, there's got numbers in the box. Looking for Scardino, but overhit it.
Hit this.
Maybe Jermaine Jones angle right there.
2 yards out. No one stepping to you. It's also the playmaking ability you get out of crafty little midfielder.
Soto, the sophomore from Iowa. US U17 camps he was called into in his younger days. Pac-12 honorable mention, 19 first team last year.
Some of those chances, by the way. Let's see what they do with Charlie Ostrom at outside back. Interesting listening to Jamie Clark kind of talk about the player. And you mentioned all Pac and the numbers that he put up last year. Was most assists school had seen since the 1998 season and the run that they were in. And it was his willingness to take chances. He hasn't taken as many this year. And, you know, within that, you kind of get the two-headed spear, right? Okay, yes, he's going to produce a lot on the offensive side, but there's going to be mistakes as well. So the good news is since he hasn't stepped out, none of those mistakes have poked their head out. The bad news is the meat comes to the inside. There's nobody else down here in the channel to overlap in the run.
Meek on the ball. And D1 Rocha. Plays it in. Dangerous, and it curls in! I don't know if Miglietti, he's not claiming it, so Meek is! And the patent celebration is about to commence in the corner. The Dogs are going to pile. 1-0. The Huskies are up.
No chances needed when Lady Luck helps out. Lucas Meek one-on-one. It was good combination play, but as it comes back to the outside, he's just quickly putting this into the mixer and letting someone run onto it. Miglietti making the run to the near post. Put it in a danger area and hope that something special can happen. Center back gets in the way, can't really do anything. If you're on the back line for the Hoyas, it's just a mistake. Goalkeeper can't get to it either. Nielsen a bit off, but it's all going right here at the start of the second half for the Huskies.
Meek gets his 4th goal of the campaign, 16th of his career. For the second team all Pac-12 performer this year. Missed a chunk of time from September 3rd to October 31st. He was out. Back in the lineup now. Didn't start this match. Was played the lion's share of the minutes. And a little bit of a fortuitous bounce. Not much Kenny Nielsen, the defender for Georgetown, could do there. I'm not sure. They are crediting it, the goal with me. So they're saying Nielsen did not get a touch on it. But let's see Georgetown's response. Been here before. Oh, quick time the other way. Matt Thompson says no foul. We'll take another look at this because that looked like Will Sands got upended.
He's saying no way, no way. The cut back across. Is there actual contact? I'll tell you what, there looked to be a little bit of a nudge on the leg. You have to give Sands a bit of credit because he sells it. Drags that right knee behind him. Little cut across on the center back. Referee knew he was looking for it. That game's opening up now.
This Georgetown team went down 1-0 to WVU, and a quick card coming out now for Pavara. He goes into Matt Thompson's clip. They were down 1-0 to WVU on their own field. They battled back to tie that up and win in penalties. Take a look. I mean,
you know what? Slowed down like that, it's the right decision.
No pen, really.
Watch the left leg. Pulls out.
Okay.
If you give it, for me as a referee, I'm not calling that. If you give it, I can understand. I just agree with the no call because of the fact that the striker is looking for the contact. The touch has already come back across. The one leg has already started the movement, and you're dragging to try and create it. Now, there's contact, but you're also initiating it.
Well explained by you, because I think a lot of people watching it have said, well, I've seen that given a lot of times. But you're right. It's not given. It's not a stone cold pen. So we're moving forward here. Now Washington chance to serve the ball in. Poor cross. This Renzi working and then gets upended. No call. Runs out of real estate. Let's take a look at the goal. And Lucas Meek.
It's good coverage. Look at Pavara tracking on one-on-one situation. Aiden Rocha. And just as this gets flung back in, Kenny Nielsen is on the backside. Runner's coming back across. And it's almost like he just loses his footing. He goes up deciding to use his knee or his foot to actually get to the ball. One as a center back, from a mental standpoint, you almost have the decision made up in your mind as the action's coming towards you. And it's like jumping before the ball even gets there. And you could have easily gotten there with your head.
Yeah.
Right? And instead, you're forcing your own action ahead of time. You would like him to react in that situation instead.
Chavez on the ball, charging forward, 1v6. Maintains possession well for a second. Ashia Robin heads it down to Kendall Burns.
Good ball.
Tevez in the channel, cuts it back, looking for Miglietti. Wilson this time got his head on it.
This is where they get you, though. They grab the 1-goal lead. They don't stop. They just continue to go. And look at all the numbers starting to come forward. Now everybody wants a piece of this game.
Miglietti on the ball in the box. Lays it off. Osorienzi. Tevez. Shot blocked. Inside by Scardina. Ostrom. Shot. Oh my gosh! Charlie Ostrom! What a goal from the junior! His second of the season, and he's never going to forget that. Dog pile part 2.
We told you it was the most school assists last season since 1998. Spoiler, this ain't it. Some kind of strike for Charlie Ostrom. The best that this team is they just continue to apply pressure. It's wave after wave of attack, but better in terms of balance. They go side to side. They stretch the game vertically. As they come, Scardina comes all the way back across, said he could be a game changer, but we ask for more out of the outside back. Much higher line. The cut back to the inside on the unfavorited right foot. Nobody challenges him. Easy enough for him to pick out his 7th collegiate goal.
3 minutes and 11 seconds between goals. Giannis Nicopolidis can't believe it. Brian Weiss's team's down 2-0 like that. And we'll see what they're trying to do, making a few changes now. Couple substitutions. Marlon Tabora is on the match, the hat-trick hero back from the Providence game in this tournament. Tabora comes in, Stefan Stojanovic comes off. Like for like with the strikers. Ante Povar riding a challenge. All right, Devin, you got 33 minutes to go. What does Georgetown need to do to get back in this thing?
It'll run out of number 1. It's going to do 2 things for you. It'll start to give you some confidence and help create some opportunities going forward. More importantly, it's going to push back these waves that you're seeing out of the Huskies. You got to reset your numbers coming up, compress the field a bit more, and give yourself a fighting chance here so that you're not going 80 yards down.
Sands goes down again, and this is gonna draw Carter. And that's Scardina going into the book.
Interesting to note, by the way, in that conversation with Weiss leading up to this game, we talked about tactics and this, that, and the other. And he said, there are going to be goals in this game. There's no doubt about it. So I looked at my guys and I said, how many goals would it take to beat Georgetown? They said 3. And he goes, we got to score 3. There's your answer right there, down 2-0. Plenty of talent and plenty of time. But they got to get it going somehow.
Knew there would be goals. Again, Washington, 4th the nation in goals per game, 2.67. Georgetown's been better in the defensive end this year. 7th the nation in goals against average, 0.698. Not easy to get goals on it, but there have been 2 marked already in the first 13 minutes of this half. Tabora takes it. Calder might fall for Riviere, but Nielsen didn't leave it for him. Back to Sargent. Does he put it into the mixer? No, he plays Rocha. He'll put it in, and that'll go out for a throw. Joe DeLuz came back in the match for Palomares the last break.
Riviere back to his new touchline. The favorited right side that we saw him semi-successful on in the first half.
Zawatsky, good touch to Riviere. Back to Zawatsky, skipping around. Go back in, clear it out. Rocha looking for the big switch to Sands. Lose gets it back in play to Pulvara. Two-time midfielder of the year in the Big East. Currently the Matt Herman semifinalist. Number 15, the second time in a row, second year in a row. Actual Player of the Year award, that is. Sargent, center back, stepping forward. Sargent continues his run. Numbers in the box, low ball played in. Deleuze may be able to keep it in, he does. Great run, recovery by Zawadzki. He's taken down. Poor pass by Haggard.
Ball's got to be in front of Pulvara. You're asking him to pull his right leg behind him and drag it coming forward.
Unless you're Kareem Benzema, that's hard to do. Lucas Meek. Got one goal. Oh, Meek, hey now. Gets his cross off. Maybe that was a shot, I don't know, shot or pass, but it looked dangerous.
He likes it one-on-one. Speed off his injury earlier this season. That was apparent, but still. Crafty little player. So we'll see the ideas from the Hoyas starting to matriculate coming the other direction. Problem is it's still got to be faster. The tempo, people hear the word tempo down and they think that the game's going to open up and be a million miles an hour. It's not the case. It's the actual quickness of what you're willing to play. You don't have to go end to end and do 120 whatever it is in 15 seconds. However, every single time you're on the ball, you just got to be quicker, right? The second that you take a second, a third, a fourth touch, you're allowing the team on the other side of you to reset themselves defensively, and you just make it a lot easier. That's really what plagued Georgetown in the first half. They didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they were in front of them. Now the second half here, we've seen some moments where Pulvara is willing to step up a little bit, but they're off. The ball that was 90 seconds, 120 ago. Good little combination, drag behind him. Everybody starts to get a little bit slower, and the next thing you know, that great build that you saw is gone.
Rocha down the heat, right in front of us too, and you see the divots in the pitch. The pitch looks pristine except for where that action just took place. There's chunks out of it, and there's a chunk out of Rocha.
On the play to Washington, number 33, Lucas Meek.
It's in the book at the 62nd minute mark. Second yellow issued for UW.
Well, 9-iron taken out here.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he knows. He also knows that if he doesn't step in, Soto was pretty high on the line of the midfield. And space was open on this left-hand flank. I'll take him off now. Work done there. Goal on the card. I call that a complete effort. It's in my book.
You're proud of him. As Meek makes way. Now Rosales, sophomore from Mexico, who started the match, comes back in. Rosales is part of the U18 Mexico setup. They're at Taro, Mexico. Club made famous when Ronaldinho went there a couple years ago. Should say made globally famous, known in this part of the world better. Rocha's pass wayward. Nice turn by Haggard. Anyway, the challenge. Out to Sands. Number of gray jerseys in the box. Looking for one. Riviere's there, heads it down. Ping pongs around. Back to Fowler. Ooh. Out for a corner. Second in the match. Next goal in this game is going to be decisive. If the Hoyas can get it, we got ourselves a whole new situation.
Kalani walked over to his goalkeeper after this. Just, hey, my bad. Didn't realize you weren't looking.
It's a definite my bad situation.
Georgetown corner kick be handled by number 9, the Marlon Deborah.
Deborah to take. Driven ball. Kieran Sargent, that was say ambitious from the freshman center back.
Heading shot taken by number 16, Kieran Sargent.
Good game coming up. Good game going on right now. Just hours from now, we've got MLS Cup final, the 26th edition. We play tomorrow, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. Portland Timbers against NYCFC from Providence Park, one of the best venues in our country. Portland looking for their 3rd title in 7 years after taking down RSL. And NYCFC took down Philadelphia to get to the final, their first ever. Also took down the New England Revolution in route there. Thought we were looking, I mean, I think a lot of college coaches almost want to see the Revs get there to help prove out the model, because there are so many pathways to the pros. And some teams, like the Revs, have invested in a lot of young college players. They won the Supporters Shield. Couldn't get it done, though.
It's amazing what happens to people month off. It's not their fault. I mean, they were that good, setting records left and right. But, you know, there is something to be said about repetitive patterns when these guys know it all too well. Playing games every 3 days, and the semifinals on a Friday, final going to be Sunday afternoon. You're looking at 36, 40 hours recovery. But the other part of that is when you don't play regular games, chemistry and just your movements, you're one step slow in certain areas. Definitely got Revolution in trouble.
They guarded a little bit of space, combining. Tabora tried to dink it over the top. Doesn't get there. Zawadzki plays it back out. They guard again. In trouble. Sargent, that's your center back operating up in the 18.
That's the different look, you asked me, that you get at it, having Sargent on as opposed to Daniel Wu. They attack a little bit differently on the left side because of it. You can't take as many chances, but Sargent will step up too. And when he goes, you see he's not afraid to challenge. As he steps up into it, someone from Washington has to come to him. And a couple of times we've seen him connect.
Getting end line, driven ball in by Sands, another corner. 3rd of the match. Here we go. Under 25 minutes. Hoya starting to apply more consistent pressure.
These boys on this big though. There's not even twin towers. Really got a triage on the back line for Washington Huskies. Really the biggest player that you have at your option right now is Povara, right around the penalty mark.
He's marked tightly by Kendall Burns. Conference fullback. Oh, ball. Almost skips through the Povara. There's a lot of appeals for handball. None given. You saw a lot of Hoya's players. They're still on Matt Thompson right now about it. In the supporter section, Hoya Blues are behind the goal as well, letting Matt Thompson hear about it. Burns controls. Back to Robin. Dispossessed. Oh, Tabora's touch was heavy. Saylor recovers. Saylor's down. And in pain. You don't want to see that. That's the defensive player of the year in the conference. And Matt Herman, semifinalist, on the deck right now. We're going to take a look at Saylor. We are going to get back to the handball complaint. But you see some of the players saying, get the training staff out here. You don't want that. But take a look.
Just comes down really hard on the shoulder. Tabora trying to make a play on the ball. No real malintent there from Tabora. You can see he walked over immediately. My bad.
It's the worst part. He just clipped him. He didn't mean to do it.
And here's the thing about it too. We're taught not to speculate. And I'm not speculating here. I've fallen exactly like that. Now the fact that he's a bit more active now in his movements. Before he wouldn't touch at all, but I've fallen exactly like that. And a lot of times when you see a player come down that way and put their arm across, that's a collarbone. Now, because he's rolling around a bit more than he was in the opening couple of seconds, that's a good sign for sure. but it's that driving motion down into the ground, pushing away from the body. Collarbone and shoulder, the ones that immediately jump out. And that's not a collarbone movement like that.
Well, Dr. Kerr is here, but this is this young man's career too. He's a super senior. It's his 6th year, but in his first 4 years, he hardly played. I mean, take a look at this young man. He redshirted twice, played 3 minutes in 2017, and then 13 matches total through his first 4 years. And then his career has taken off. Back-to-back all-league player. He's up and walking now. He's a Mac Herman semifinals, defensive player of the year in the conference. It's great to see him up. We'll see if he can get back in the game. Tabora dapping up, saying, "Hey, my bad." But let's take a look at the handball appeal before. First time we get to see this.
The angle that we had. Ooh. Even if that does, here's the problem is, even if this does hit his arm, look where it is next to his body. Yeah. That's not only is it not far away from the torso, it's even moving back in towards it. So it does connect off the arm. But everybody that sees the contact, you have to remember the unnatural body position. If that arm was flailing away, you could point to the spot in a heartbeat. But the proximity much closer, and he's already bringing it back to the inside.
You saw actually Burns trying to move his head toward the ball too. I don't think there's any intent there. And now there is a sub. Nate Jones, the freshman, coming in. His 12th appearance on the campaign. He played the spring season as well as a freshman, so he's his 20th appearance in his career, which is important, obviously, when you're trying to put up 2-0 lead and you've got your senior All-American on the sidelines. We'll see how James Jones does tossed into this high-intensity environment, how long he plays, given where Sailor's at.
You could just read the lips there of Sailor, and he said, "Felt my shoulder pop." It definitely popped.
He's a doctor. He's a lip reader. He's a soccer player. He's Devin Kerr.
Tell my wife that. She's at home going, "I wish you would stop talking." You gave him a mic and you paid him?
Not to say, I have the same sentiments in my casa. Stoyanovich just checked back in the match for Riviere. Moving Tabora more out to the wide right side. 23 minutes to go. Georgetown was starting to build a little momentum until the last few minutes. Sands is going. Sargent didn't realize that. Hoya Sacks a chance still going on for these Georgetown fans, despite the 2 goals within 3 minutes for Washington in the second half. Lucas Meek and Charlie Ostrom. Ostrom's goal is going to be replayed for years in College Cup lore, because that was a beauty from about 25 yards out. Curling, bending around Nycfc, giving the 2-0 advantage. Sargent striding forward. Rosales. Dispossessed easy to Tabora. Stoyanovich circles back to Hagard.
Still a look over the shoulder there for Deleuze, wondering where Sands was. He's tired. He's put a lot of miles in the odometer on that left-hand side. He isn't able to make as many runs as we saw in the first half.
Ball flipped in back post. Hagard was going to try to line up a fantastic strike on a volley, but couldn't come together. We actually just saw Ryan Sailor run into the tunnel underneath us, into the locker room, so he's not coming back in the immediate term with the trainer. We'll see if he comes back out. As of now, it's Nate Jones' spot, the center back. Laid off for Polvara. Out to Tabora. Cuts it back. Shot. Save. Fowler. Big time play when they need it.
Defensively, this team is so good, but you still got to have that goalkeeper that's willing to step up when needed. And Sam Fowler, how does he get his hand on this thing? I mean, there's some kind of move Tabor puts on the ball, catches it, oh so true. No rotation on it whatsoever, and the goalkeeper with 4 bodies in front of him, able to pluck this out of thin air.
Tabor, the sophomore, born in Honduras. His father is the U.S. ambassador to Honduras. You see Dylan Tevez went down to the top of the box. He's walking off the pitch now, so they're going to be, they're going to be down to 10, but they're not. There's a sub awaiting. I believe it's Paul. Yep. In comes Elijah Paul, the freshman, back in the match. So we're all even at 11v11. Scoop pass over the top and headed back out for another corner. 5th of the match. And swinging ball, drops at the 6. Sawatsky was trying to get there on the backside, but couldn't. Keeps it in play. Good hustle by him. Sargent, does he put it back in the mixer? No, he waits. Sawatsky was off and didn't even play it. More subs getting set to come in for Washington. And you see Kai Briscoe coming in for Nick Scardina. Good turn by Polvara. And skip by some challenges, can't do it. Goes to Rienzi, tried to put it to Paul's feet. They got falls. Briscoe. Under 19 minutes to go in the second semifinal of the night. Carry North Carolina alongside Devin Kerr. I'm Dallin Cuff. 2-0. Washington is up over Georgetown. First time the Huskies have ever been in the College Cup in their history. Chance to punch their ticket to Sunday's final. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. ESPNU against Clemson, who won the first semifinal of the night against Notre Dame. UW scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. 54th minute and 57th minute. Nick Scardina. Lucas Meek and Charlie Ostrom were the goal scorers, and that's where we are right now. Big East champs, the 2019 College Cup champs, Georgetown, in trouble. Devin, if at one point you start to really either change things tactically or personnel-wise to really try to get a second goal here?
They won't change, and that's one of the best things about Georgetown is they believe in their process. They're not a team that hits the panic button because they've been in these spots before. They understand that in order to be successful, you have to continue to put one foot in front of the other as you have all season long. The previous year, you made it to the Elite Eight. 2019, you won the College Cup. If you start to move too many pieces, you get yourself into trouble, at least from a tactical standpoint. That is one of the biggest differences, in my opinion, from a statistical standpoint, between that 19 squad and this squad. That 19 squad had 20 different players with 20 or more appearances. They don't rotate as much here, and there is some fatigue starting to come out. If you watch Sawatsky, he's actually just pulling on his lower back right now. He's not stepping as high. Will Sands, less active on the left. You ask so much of these guys, and in games like this, when it does open up, make the extra runs, 15, 20 minutes to go is not as easy for them to overextend like we saw early on in the match.
Sawatsky's big switch looking for Sands did not come off there. And UW running into traffic in the midfield. And these two teams met in that 2019 Cup run for Georgetown in the quarterfinals. 7 guys in the Washington team right now played in that match. 6 guys, the Hoyas team played in that match. And to the Hoyas, this didn't really matter in terms of vengeance. But to the Huskies, those players were really clear to us yesterday that this is a chance to really rectify what happened in 19 on even a bigger stage now, the Final Four College Cup versus the Elite Eight. And that's where they are. They put themselves in a position up 2-0. Georgetown's average just under 17 shots a game in the tournament. They're at 4 right now. Why is that, Devin? What has Washington done so well?
The defensive shape that really been present all game long is sit deep, keep the runners in front of you. When the pressure starts to come offensively from Georgetown, if you watch, nobody really steps out and goes to try and win a ball. They let the game come to them. But because of the fact that you have so much support around you, if the ball gets by the outside left
Can I run around the field right now? I don't have.
You're really still in a one-on-one situation where a striker or a midfielder is matched up with the outside back. Same thing on the inside. So it goes from one player to the next. And it's been a really good job on the backside by the 2 center backs. That man right there being one of them, Ryan Saylor, coming out of the locker room. Good to see him in that shoulder wrap of just telling the guys, shift left, shift right, up 5 yards, back to your right shoulder. The communication is what's kept them in here. And so you don't have your 2 best players in Zawadzki and Povar regularly combining. I said to you, in order to have success, it has to come down to those 2 guys. And yet as we watch the rest of this game, it's really hard to talk about any moments where they've been super effective.
Will Sands down again. He was at a dead sprint. Briscoe's got a ton of pace and slid in there, a tough challenge. Let's take another look.
Just watch that right foot right there. Up underneath him, got a touch on the ball. 2 guys just trying to make a play on this.
But is that not a foul? You can't take the main. It's a 2-footed challenge. A lot of man, much ball.
The argument in that situation is subjective because of the viewpoint of the referee. Where is the referee in location to where the ball is? Because his vision may see that coming from a horizontal standpoint, not from that restricted view that we just saw. If you come from a negative side on that tackle, you're always going to get in trouble. Book says you can't come from a restricted position and make a tackle. And they talk about goals changing games. A couple arguments for Georgetown Hoyas here within the first half. Little spin by Stojanovic. No penalty. Great turn by him. Come back across here. Again, could they call a pen? Yes. The fact that they didn't, I actually celebrate it. I think it's the right call by the referee. Sam's looking for the contact. And this one coming off the handball by the outside back, Kendall Burns. The arm is next to the body, and it's also moving back towards the torso. Referee had a real good look at it. I'm sure that Hoya fans will be a little upset but nothing was called, but the correct decision.
Matt Thompson, the man in the middle tonight. In the first game, too, I will say this. Both the games have been reffed consistently, and that's really all you can ask for. So we'll see if Sands, the junior from Rye, New York, can shake it off. And just to remind you, coverage of the NCAA Championships continues. The Men's College Cup Sunday, December 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPNU. Clemson playing the winner of this match right now. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships.
There's the one thing we can say as you see the dejected look from Giannis Nycfc. Yeah, there's not really much he could do on either one of the goals. The second one, everything that you've seen out of Charlie Ostrom is ball whipped in with his left foot, strike with his left foot, and when he cuts inside, he distributes to someone else. If he makes that play 100 times, maybe once he lets that thing fly. Now, to be fair, nobody stepped up into the space to challenge him, but Nycfc, you're asking for a world-class save from a really good goalkeeper, and he just couldn't get to it. The one tactical change I will say, we've talked about the differences between that 19 team and this team for Georgetown Hoyas. That 19 team, they had more of a tendency to sit one midfielder underneath and bump 3 in front. So I talked about boxing the midfield, recreating the number 10 type role in the aggregate with 4 players. If you lead Zawadzki underneath, now you have 3 presences on the inside instead of 1 or 2. That's going to be much harder for the Washington Huskies to chase.
Lucas Meek checks back in the game for Rosales. Meek is on a goal scorer, but he is on a yellow, too. as they try to close out this game with just over 14 minutes to go. And Matt Thompson's trying to fix the clock right now. That's an issue. Goes out of the Husky supporter section. They've been on their feet most of the second half. That long cross-country trip from Seattle here to Cary, North Carolina.
Imagine that pregame cocktail party.
I'm imagining they're all very well lubricated with the late 8:30, 9. What was it, about a 9 o'clock, 9:30 kickoff because of the overtime and the penalties. It was 9:30 Eastern time in the first matchup. And Paul almost won a corner, but not quite. Dylan Tevez checked back in the match for Gio Micheletti. 8 for 9 on the program. Or 9 for 8, I should say. Deleuze stepping forward, trying to combine with Tabora. Tevez looking for Paul. Ocho comes over, covers, and gets it out for a corner. Third of the match for the Huskies. Jamie Clark just under 13 minutes away from getting the first College Cup final in this Washington program history. Swinging ball, back post. Burns gets a head on it. Goes out, touch for a goal kick. And great soccer games all weekend across the ESPN family of networks and platforms. Great game in La Liga, the Madrid derby. Real Madrid, league leaders in La Liga, taking on Madrid, taking on Atleti. 2:50 Eastern on Sunday. A big, big game in that league. And I'm sure all Madrid fans, both Real and Atleti, enjoying Barcelona's demise right now. They sit deep mid-table right now, getting shellacked by Bayern midweek, out of the Champions League, in the Europa League. Great game, 2:50 Eastern, but Huskies coming along looking for more. 12 minutes to go.
They've made that adjustment. Kowalski center circle by himself, the lone 6. He removes the ability to really stack your two midfielders and play off of each other. The problem is you really haven't had that all game long anyway. You know, a couple of finite moments. Brian Weiss talked about that at halftime. Got to get them on the more, and the decision making had to be more clear. Cut. Well, we've seen that in certain instances. The attacking presence still not there. Look at all the numbers right now. Every single Husky wearing a jersey on the field right now was just 25 yards from their own net. Resilient, even though up 2-0. Just dig down in, and they'll concede it at this point in time. Just outside 10 minutes to go. Keep the ball in front of you just like you did in the first half. There's no need whatsoever to take any more chances to shut the game down.
Kenny Nielsen in front of us, the center back, is struggling and stretching. See if he can keep it going. Ball played in. Riviera arriving, and it's in! Fowler couldn't keep it out! They've had the deficit, and the Hoyas are alive! What a ball played in, and what a finish!
It's the first time this season, too, that the Huskies have conceded after going up by 2 goals. They get out in front, they stay out in front. But this ball whipped into the back post. He was the best player on the offensive side of the ball in the first half. The late trailing runs, the one that came off the chest, everything came down to Riviere. But watch him step back through if you're Fowler. Can't get his hand set, body coming back to the left. As an attacker, you just want to put this on frame, challenge the movement of the goalkeeper. Mistake by Fowler and fortune for Riviere.
Kenny Nielsen checks out Riviere's 5th goal of the campaign, 2nd of the NCAA tournament. He scored against Georgia State. And now there is some shuffling on the back line for Georgetown. As Nielsen went out, Dominic De Almeida comes in. He'll play it right back. He'll move Adam Rocha into the center back spot for Nielsen. I believe we can win chance is starting. Ryan Saylor's checked back in the center back for the Huskies. He's okay with that shoulder injury. That was a handball not called. Blatant one, too. On Robin. And things are getting tight here, Devin Kerr.
Speed change on the back line, though. De Almeida coming in. They push both instead of the rotation of just the Sands and sit 3 on the back line. Now you've got 2 that are super capable on the ball, and Sargent and Rocha, but you'll see both outside backs come much higher. And how are you going to react now if you're the Huskies? Because there's going to be a lot more ball movement. You know, the belief that you now have the ability to go chase this game much more apparent for the Hoyas.
Kieran Sargent got that assist. We talked about the center back getting forward. He put that ball in. Riviere capitalized, and they've got 9.5 minutes to push this thing maybe to an extra frame. Thompson says no foul, but it goes out for Huskies.
Personal favorites.
We're here now. Polvara on the ball. His head's up. Oh, it's a dangerous ball played in. Stojanovic says there was a touch. No. Whoa.
That's why he's the Big East midfielder of the year, Dante Polvara. Even though he maybe hasn't been in his best all night long, that's the glimpse that he gives you. Just ping this thing to the back post. Still haven't seen a lot out of the 9, though. Stojanovic. Last time he hit pay dirt, Big East final. 2 goals for him. Quiet ever since. He said the same tonight.
He didn't really make a play on the ball.
He just stopped running.
Yeah. Biglietti comes in the game for Paul. Tevez on it. Scardina.
real careful here for the Huskies. You don't want to just knock the ball back to them. And it's one thing to hit the reset button, push a little bit higher. It's a whole nother to consistently just feed this thing right back into the belly of the beast.
Switched out to the goal scorer, Riviere. Takes down Hopper's face. Maintains possession though. Under 5. Sub coming in. Nielsen's going to come back in the match. This time for Sargent. Freshman that had the assist. That moves Rocha over to left center back position. He went right back, right center back, no, left center back as Nielsen's on. Pass by De Almeida and Ostrom. Right now is the game-winning goal. Couldn't quite keep it in play. Jovanovic continues his run, hits Sailor. Does it go out for a corner? No. They're at 2 minutes. All goals in the second half. The first one, Lucas Meek got him going.
Just unfortunate for the Hoyas here. This ball comes back in. Teddy Nielsen in the back post run. Couldn't pick it up. Lucas Meek puts it in the danger zone, and then special from the outside back, and all Pac-Man and Ostrom the cutback to the inside, upper 90. Thank you very much. And the comeback kids, 11 minutes to go. Riviere, who's been great all night long, gave them hope. 90 seconds to see if they can complete it.
Almeida just got rid of it. Hagar trying to bring it down. Finally does. Balls to Pavara. He's got an option to the left. I'm not sure if he tried. I'm not sure what happened if he tried to pass it or not.